Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. What's up? What's up? Good morning from the West Coast of the United States on April 16th, 2020. Wow, we started this on, what was it, April 6th last week. This is day number 9 of a new series all about finding opportunity in a time of uncertainty, exploring the lessons of what can we learn when so many things are different all of a sudden in the world. So many things are different. Lots of people are worried and anxious, yet at the same time, we're all in it together. So with so much out of our control, what is within our control? What are we able to influence? How can we find financial security? Which is a lot of what I talk about through my podcast, Side Hustle School. My name is Chris Guillebeau. Welcome, everybody, if we haven't met before. And hello to everybody who is watching live. It's great to see this community just begin to form, and some of the same people coming back day after day. Awesome to see you all, as well as some new people coming. So very cool. A couple of announcements here as I begin this morning. I saw that we have 2,000 subscribers on YouTube now, which I thought was pretty cool. Those aren't like huge YouTube numbers or anything, but I just started this channel last week, so I really do think this is going to grow, and I'm grateful to everybody who's here from the beginning. So that is cool. 2,000 subs so far. Exercise file for today, or a resource file, we could say, that you can download. I put it in the comments a few moments ago, and it should also be in the description below. So go check that out. Please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. That would be so awesome. Some of you are already doing that. Thank you. That is super cool. Just kind of shows YouTube that this is helpful content, which is my intention. Helpful content, nothing for sale. And you can also subscribe there, become 2001, and hit the notifications button, which is the bell. I think hit the bell to get notifications. Awesome. So let's see where everybody is joining in from today. Like I said, I see some of our regulars. Lots of folks from Vancouver and Vancouver Island. You guys are representing well. I was excited about doing an event there on the tour. I was going to say the upcoming tour, but I can still say the upcoming tour in faith that it's going to happen. But hopefully that will be able to proceed at some point. But I'll look forward to going to Vancouver Island and lots of other spots. Los Angeles, Hyderabad, Bangalore, London, Germany, San Diego, Topeka, Kansas, the Boot Heel of Missouri. Good to see you again, Eric. David is back from New Jersey. Rachel is back. Lots of folks are back and new. So awesome. Good to see you. Got the PDF. Cool, cool, cool. Jeremy's got a report already, made $45 on a new platform. Almost at $50 goal from 2 days ago. Yay, that's awesome. So if you are new to this, every day I have a daily challenge. I think I actually forgot yesterday's daily challenge, but we'll come to that. I was so excited about this thing I was showing you. I think I actually forgot to give you the challenge, but hopefully you challenged yourself if you were watching. 2 days ago, the challenge was we were talking about how to make $1,000 in a week in a short period of time using kind of the model that Jake, the main character in the Money Tree, followed. And I gave you a challenge to make at least $50 in a day or a couple of days using some of the methods that we talked about, or something else that you came up with on your own, because so many people are smart. So that's great to have that report. Going forward, I would love to hear more reports, and also what you're working on, projects and such, so that we can feature them to this community and perhaps even the broader community with Side Hustle School and elsewhere. So let us see. Hey, what's up, Nikki? Good to see you. Nikki's been working really hard. I think I can show you, actually. This is the thing we talked about yesterday. Let's see if I can hop over here. Yeah, so the Money Tree book registry, which we've just debuted in a soft launch. This is very soft launch beta. Probably early next week, I'll start publicizing it more, sending out more emails about it and such. But I'm really excited about this opportunity to connect what I'm calling book donors with people who have financial need, who have been laid off or lost their jobs or have a lot of debt during this time. And so this project is now up and running. You can see the other tab there, Hoboken Girl. We're going to come to that later in the episode. Money Tree Registry, where you can go and donate to the registry, contribute 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, whatever you would like to do. And we're matching those books with people who are in need. I saw yesterday that a couple of our folks, David and Sean from watching the broadcast, already went and contributed there. So thank you. That's super cool. Maybe Krista as well, perhaps a couple of other folks. So continue to bring you some updates about that as we go along. But I'm excited to have that out in the world. So thank you for your support with that. Okay, let us do question of the day. And also, I'm going to kind of cycle back and forth between what I'm sharing and your comments and such. So feel free to leave any comments or questions there. And if I don't respond right away, I'll usually go back to it. If I don't get to your comment during the broadcast, I always go back at the end just to read what everybody said. And that kind of informs what I do going forward for the next day. So for example, question of the day in a moment. But for example, yesterday we had, I believe it was Lola or Lolo. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I think it's one of those two. She was mentioning at the end of the broadcast that she's not sure what her marketable skills are. And this is something that I think is so important for people to figure out. It's one of those things that you aren't really taught. Nobody comes along and says like, hey, hey, Cindy, hey, Jeremy, hey, Mary Jo, these are your marketable skills in which you can, create a side hustle to earn extra money without quitting your job. Like nobody does that in high school or college or, your parents or however else you're being educated. But it is so critical because everything else is based on that. So I think if you're watching today, Lola or Lolo, then I think today's lesson might be helpful in that regard. Because we're going to talk about becoming an instant consultant, of which there is no consulting school. This is just something you have to kind of learn about your knowledge and how to extract it and share it. So I think this will be helpful, but going forward, we'll continue to dive more and more into this topic. So today's question, what is the random topic that you know everything about? Perhaps this could be related to the lesson, in fact. What is the random topic that you know everything about? Or maybe it's not everything. Like I could have even put that in italics. You know everything or underline everything about. Maybe it's not everything, but you know a lot about this particular topic. And maybe it's something very specialized that you think is very small, that you think nobody else really cares about, or maybe people do care about because they're always asking you about it. What is the random topic that you know all kinds of stuff about? Could be some kind of professional skill, but just as likely, I think, it is some kind of hobby or passion or just thing that you are into. So I would love to know what your answer to that is, because as I said, it very well could connect to some kind of side hustle. We have seen over and over with Side Hustle School that a lot of the projects we feature kind of come from people asking that question and kind of diving in and exploring it a bit further. So feel free to pop your answer in the chat. I'll share some of my, I'll share at least one of my answers to that in a moment. While you're doing that, just for everybody who is new, let's see. That's right. You always got to start your slides in the right order, Chris, but I'm working on it. So this is all based around my new book, The Money Tree, a story about finding the fortune in your own backyard. I'm really excited about this book. I was going to be doing a 40-city tour, as mentioned, but now that's not happening because everybody's making all kinds of changes in their life and adjusting to being on lockdown and such. So I am excited to share with you all here virtually and, just trying to show up wherever I can. This book really is relevant to anybody who is struggling financially or trying to build something different for their future. Even if you're doing well, the idea is to build something so that the next time something unexpected, unpredictable comes along, that you have more security. So if you're enjoying this, the website is moneytreebook.com. You can buy a copy for a friend. You can use this new process to become a book donor, or if you can't do that, totally understand. You can also just post online with a hashtag, and everything helps to kind of spread the word. All right, so back to the question of the day. What is the random topic that you know everything about? Would love to see what kind of answers we got here. Let me scroll back. Wow, lots of responses. You guys are awesome. Let's see. Oh, I saw also Eric made $60 on Skillshare, but it's been a few months in. All right. Well, the good thing about Skillshare, hopefully, is that it's done. Like whatever you did to make $60, I'm thinking is, can now at least make you some dollars going forward. That's the hope. Renuka asked if shipping is available in India. Yes, it is. Not for the book registry. For right now, that's U.S. only. Anybody can be a donor, but in terms of our shipping for that process, it has to be U.S. only for now, just because our warehouse is in the States for that. But there should be booksellers all over the world, online and offline, that can get you the book. If they don't have it in stock, or if you don't see it on their website for some reason, you can send them an email. And I work with Penguin Random House, which is the largest publisher in the world. So they have sub-rights agents everywhere. So any bookshop should be able to get it for you. Thank you for asking. All right, we had some answers here. Oh, and KS said also use Kindle or Audible version. Yep, that's a great recommendation. Star Wars. Okay. Star Wars, and then right after, somebody, my husband's is Star Wars. Mine is nutrition. Rachel says my husband's is Star Wars. We got 2 Star Wars experts here. Caitlin says the term everything is intimidating. Fair enough. So let's just say, you know a lot about it. All right. When I say everything, I mean like you're like a geek about it. Like you're immersed in this topic. Perhaps you don't know everything, but that's okay. Cindy says budgeting, financial. Oh, I lost my comment thread there. So many more comments coming in. Budgeting, financial organization / planning, personal development, cryptocurrency, 3G XD mentions, along with some others. Mary Jo, baking breads, yeast breads, flatbreads. I don't even know what that other bread is, some kind of bread. And most recently, she's learning about sourdough bread. You probably heard my story about the woman who did very, very well with Udemy courses in sourdough bread. If not, I'll have to post a link to that. She's made quite a lot of money sharing her knowledge about that. Oh, CBX says, hi, I'm Rachel's husband. Oh, that's great. Awesome. Great to have you both here. Etymology, web design. Does it count? Well, that's a good thing to talk about in the lesson I'm going to go into in a moment. Does it count? Yes and no. Like I think of web design as a pretty broad topic, actually. That's the short answer. So is it a valuable skill? Absolutely. But there are a lot of people who know a lot about web design. There are also a lot of people who know a little about web design. So generally speaking, I think it's helpful to like obtain a bit of that broad knowledge, but then actually figure out, okay, what am I going to, truly learn everything about, or a lot about, just because you're not going to be able to learn everything about web design. These days, that field is so expansive and there's so many different, pathways that you could go forward. Kamina says, working in a law firm. So I like this comment, working in a law firm, because it's different than, the law or practicing law in whatever state or province or country. I think the topic of working in a law firm is actually really interesting in terms of a potential side hustle in the knowledge economy, which is what we're talking about when I say become a consultant, an instant consultant. Working in a law firm, I bet a lot of people search for that term, like what is it like to work in a law firm? What is it like to be a lawyer? Not just like, how do I study for the LSAT? Not just like, how do I take the bar exam? Like that's kind of saturated, but what is it like to be a lawyer or to work in a law firm? I bet there's a lot of people searching for that information. Okay, I'm not going to read all these. You guys are awesome. So many different comments and ideas. Biblical studies, someone mentioned biblical studies and blockchain. There you go. You should put those together. This is also a good tip sometimes of like, you take 2 topics and you mash them together, and then all of a sudden, there's lots of experts in the field of biblical studies. There are lots of experts in databases and blockchain and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned health, wellness as well. But then what is the convergence between those topics, perhaps? Maybe that seems a little bit strange, or maybe it doesn't. But whatever it is, if you have 2 or 3 topics, sometimes that's a helpful thing. All right. So let me share a couple of things here, and we're happy to do more comments and questions as we go along. Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. Got to go back. Here we go. Okay. So yesterday I talked about, yes, there it is. Daily lesson, day 9. Okay. New title slide. Very exciting. You have to go back to get to it. So this is the principle. There is no consulting school. You don't go to get a consulting degree. Even these like professional consulting agencies, you usually end up studying something else than going into that field. So to share your specialized knowledge, whether it is about Star Wars or, biblical studies or, anything else that has been mentioned here, being in a law firm, et cetera, it is simply about how can you, I think I used this phrase earlier, extract that knowledge and put it in the form of a product, whether it's a digital product, a course, a training or something, or a service, which is typically what is thought of as a consultation, a coaching session, anything where people are kind of exchanging their money in return for receiving some specialized knowledge. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then the third way model, which we talked about a bit over the past couple of days, is all about starting quickly without spending money using your existing skills / knowledge. All right, start quickly without spending money using your existing skills, knowledge. So when I say become a consultant or use your knowledge or let's focus on this specialized topic, what do I mean? So let me give you a couple of examples here. I'll give you 3 examples actually. Example number one, and these are all these examples, by the way, are from Side Hustle School, my podcast, which recently celebrated episode 1200. And in case you're curious, it has been 1202 days since January 1, 2017. Every single day, a different lesson. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts or at sidehustleschool.com. So all these examples, or most of them that I bring you, will be from our detailed archives. And I usually just kind of say a couple things about them here. But if you want the whole story, then I always provide the link. So for example, this first one is sidehustleschool.com/443, episode 443. So this was a woman who had been frustrated with online dating. Like a lot of people experience online dating and then are frustrated with it, but eventually did meet somebody who became her husband. And so obviously she had a lot of expertise in like observing and going through this process, being frustrated. And in particular, she was frustrated with men's online dating profiles. And she said so many of them are just so boring or so dumb, or just they don't attract the right attention. And so she decided to create this consultancy helping men build a better online dating profile. And she actually created some really fun packages. I forget exactly what they're called. I should look this up. But it was like tiered packages where you could pay to get a profile grade. And that was like your basic service. Like, she's going to look at your profile and give it a grade, and here's some tips to improve. All the way up to like, I'm going to write your profile for you. And, I'm going to write your profile and maybe even do some of the messaging for you. So this is a clear need. Obviously, like so many people are doing online dating, and so many people are unsuccessful with it. I think probably, men in general have a harder time finding matches than women do, at least in terms of the entry level point of it. And so she's actually did very well with this. And her name is Emma. This side hustle actually led her first to a new job. It was something that stood out on her resume, and the employer said, well, I've never heard about this before. Tell me about it. So she ended up getting a new job out of it. And she didn't go on to make $1 million from it, but she said in the story that we featured her, it gave her the confidence to keep experimenting. She now works for herself full time. So she now has an agency helping people tell stories and such. So sometimes a side hustle leads to something, different than you expect, but gave her these skills, brought her to a new job, and then eventually brought her to a whole different focus, doing something else full time. All right. I see lots of comments, which is very cool. So I'm going to come back to those comments. Feel free to keep posting them along with any questions. So second example, a New Jersey blog becomes local legend. Now I like this. So I think I mentioned it before, Hoboken Girl. Let's see if I can skip back over there. Not there, but in fact to here. HobokenGirl.com. So here basically she has created a directory of all things related to Hoboken, New Jersey. So it's very much like lifestyle, local focused. And you can see some of the topics here. She's kind of adjusting now to what's going on, what's going on in the world at the moment. Virtual events in Hoboken plus Jersey City this weekend. Nightly cheer lineup, song picks, vegetables you can grow indoors, all of that kind of stuff. Just as a side note, on her webpage, I feel like it is a little bit busy, which is often a challenge with these kinds of sites. It's like a portfolio site. You've got lots of content, you've got lots of stuff to share, and your income for this site is often based on page views. So you want people to click a lot. You want them to click around and see different articles and such. But it is a little bit hard to know kind of what to do here, just because there is so much. Like, I got all these articles. I've got ads over here. Of course, she wants people to click the ads. But she's got her mailing list, which is really important. Lots of different sections and social. So I just mentioned that because it's hard. It's a hard challenge to overcome with this kind of site. But it is doing very well. When we featured her, it was six figures. She's earning more than $100,000 a year from this blog. And I like it because, I like it for lots of reasons. One, she's making $100,000 a year from it. Excuse me. But also, the key point is Hoboken Girl. So she is not New Jersey girl. She is not even New York City girl, which New York City, is, I feel like it could be, you could have East Village girl and Upper West Side dude or whatever. Like it's a big, big place. So she's really focusing on something specific and sharing the knowledge that she has just through experience, right? No consulting school, built this website. So it's a little bit of a different model than the online dating coach woman. And then my third example, this is episode 37 from way back in the day. American expat coaches families who move overseas. So this was a guy who had lived in lots of different places, not just by himself, but with his wife, and they had kids. And I think he lived in like 7 or 8 different countries in different parts of the world. And when they moved back, I think she was from Canada and he was from the States, but they moved to Halifax. And he noticed that lots of other families, Americans and Canadians, were asking him questions about how does education work, for my kids? What about visas? What about vaccinations? What about, all this kind of stuff. And so for a long time, he just shared his information, his knowledge for free. But then he put together these specialized coaching packages where people could pay, I think, $150 an hour to just kind of like get a lot of specific information at once. And again, this wasn't a full-time business. This was something he did on the side. But to do it for $150 an hour, a few times a week was very much worth it to him. So what do these stories have in common? They are, first of all, not generic. I think that's the key point. Like, again, it's Hoboken Girl. It's not New Jersey Girl. The expat coach, he's really focused on families. It's not just like there's a whole movement of, young people or young at heart people who want to be digital nomads and, travel to different places, maybe less so at the moment, but in general, he's not really focused on singles or even couples. He's focused on families. So again, the specificity is so important. And then second, which is what we'll talk about in just a moment here, they went from idea to offer. So they didn't just have, they started with an idea, because everything starts with an idea, right? But they went from an idea to a specific offer, like $150 for a coaching session or a consulting session. Learn about what it's like to move your family overseas. The online dating profile optimization is very specific, and it's an offer. I'm going to help men improve their profile. Here's how it works. You go here, you pay me X dollars, you choose your package. Here's what happens next. So the specificity is so key, and the call to action in terms of the offer is really key. So I gave you a resource file. Let me close down a couple of things here, keep my computer running smoothly. So I gave you a resource file, which I originally wrote for the $100 Startup, a previous book a long time ago about being an instant consultant. And it says you can start a new business as a consultant in about 1 day, if not sooner. Well, if you don't see the link for that, it should be in the description below. You can download it, or I think it's aonc.co/consultant for a short link. You can start a new business as a consultant in about 1 day, if not sooner. Again, this is about choosing something really specific and going from what is my general idea, like I want to help men, be more successful at online dating, to here is my specific offer. Hoboken Girl, it's a little bit different because there's not an offer in terms of like pay me money for this thing. It's more like I have all this knowledge about a specific place. I'm going to distill it. And the offer is essentially community. And I believe everything is free on her site. It's advertiser supported. She may have some other products or models or something, but it's a little bit different. But still, it's a pretty clear. Here's what you get when you come to the site. So I wanted to share that after I thought about the comments yesterday in terms of marketable skills. Obviously, there's more to this in terms of unpacking it and such. But I'm hoping this can provide some inspiration for somebody out there who's like, what is it that I can do? And earlier in this episode, we already heard from people who had so many different, skills and topics that they knew a lot about. So the next step for you, if you're in that place, the next step is like, what are you going to choose to focus on? How are you going to narrow that down? And then how will you package it, like one of those examples or like one of the many other examples I share in the books? If you have read The Money Tree, by the way, Jake is doing exactly that. He goes to this group called The Third Way, and they are kind of talking him through this process in more detail. And at first he's like, but I don't know what I would be good at. And then kind of figures it out. He actually has a bit of a false start. The first thing he thinks about, I don't want to give it all away, but it doesn't work as well as he hopes. And then he's able to kind of narrow it down a bit more. So that's often how life is. Wow, thank you all for watching. So cool to see so many people here and so much engagement. I'm going to now scroll back and see some of your comments and respond to a few questions before we wrap up for the day. All right. Let's see. 3GXD. Thinking of becoming a life coach. Could this be considered a consultant? Okay, so I promise to you and to everyone to always give you my honest opinion. And I promise to always tell you what I think about something. And this is actually a principle of the third way as well. When Jake first goes to the meeting and he like shares an idea with them and there's like silence. And one of the group members says, hey, we need to let you know the rule here. We're going to have to give you honest feedback, because if we don't actually give you honest feedback, then it's not really going to help, right? We want you to improve your idea. We want you to be able to be successful. So that's like the rule of the third way, like gentle, honest feedback. So when I hear people who want to be a life coach, I think the intention is very admirable. I think the problem is that being a life coach is so generic. It is almost the epitome of a generalized consultant. You can also, I think, like business strategist is also in that same category. Life coach, business strategist, very difficult to actually find traction there. There are people who are successful billing themselves as those terms, but I would say the vast majority of them are not successful. And it becomes kind of an insular world, to where it's like life coaches are hiring other life coaches and then talking about other life coaches, and then like they're not actually reaching like the majority of the people that they need to reach. Now, I have no doubt that all those people, again, are well-intentioned. I think what they need to do is really figure out what solutions can I provide people? Am I trying to help them quit smoking? Well, that's a powerful benefit. Do I have experience in this? Am I trying to help them, I don't know, improve their reading speed? Am I trying to help them? I mean, it doesn't have to be something so tactical. It could be something more in the area of wellness or spirituality or career or relationships, but just getting more specific, I think, helps a lot. Right. Let's see what else here. Oh, and Caitlin already said that for me. Thank you. Caitlin actually just, laid that out well. Life coach is still too broad. I agree. Love your book, 100 Side Hustles. Jeremy says, you took previously created material and resold it as a book. Also awesome to see multiple incomes from same/extended material. I think, 100 Side Hustles, if you haven't seen that, but it's different than $100 Startup. That was, a collection of stories from the podcast, but presenting them in a visual form. So with lots of high-res photography, my amazing photographer, Tira Wages, traveled to a bunch of different cities around the country, captured images of people. And so that was a storytelling book using content that we already had, but then kind of deployed in a different way. I have to say it was still a lot of work. When you think about like, I have all this content, all I have to do is like package it into a new book. It's actually a lot of work to do that, but still, it was good. Okay, a couple more comments here. Let's see. Just kind of scrolling here. Laura's reading, just listened this morning to a podcast about men's hair bands. Few people come to me when they're looking for a new job, if I know anyone. So that's interesting. Experienced addict, how about providing an accountability service? I just helped my friend get through her goals for the day, and she totally appreciated it. Nikki said, did we do the daily challenge? No, but we will. We will not forget today. Thank you. An accountability service, yes, it can work. I think it still is helpful to be like a little bit more specific. What are we trying to help people do, and what is the format of it? Because it could take on a lot of different forms, and it is the kind of thing that some people will gravitate toward and others will not. But that's good. That's not bad. That's a good thing. All right. Jacob said, wondering what to be when you grow up. Pick up a copy of my book. Thank you for that. Lolo, good to see you. Hey, what's up? We were talking about you earlier. I don't know if you missed it. If you did, go back and watch it earlier. Okay, let us do the daily challenge. Yes, that's correct. So hopefully you challenged yourself yesterday. Today's challenge is not necessarily related to what I've been talking about here. It is to modify your quarantine routine. Now, it could be related to it, but it could also just be like, we've all changed, or at least most of us have changed our routines in some way, even those of us who are self-employed, those of us who work at home. Like we all have some amount of changes, and some people have had dramatic changes. But perhaps, depending on what part of the world you're in and what's going on in your situation, you may have kind of created a new routine now. And so I want to encourage you to look at the aspects of your routine, your new routine, that are working, and of course keep doing them. But consider if there could be something different that you want to change, whether it's getting up a little bit earlier, whether it's devoting some time in the middle of the day to working on your side hustle. Like if you are working a job, can you find a way to take some time in the middle of the day to go away and work on your side hustle? Or it could be something totally different. Just modify your quarantine routine in some way. I think it's always good to build routines, rely on habits. I do that a lot. but I also kind of get into a rut sometimes. So just as a very small thing, before I recorded this episode, I got up maybe 2 hours before, and I went for a short walk around the block, which is really not that exciting, I know, but oftentimes I realize I don't leave my house. Like I'm just kind of like, I don't go out. And it's like, the whole day passes, and maybe I went out to run, which is good, but otherwise I never left. And so I'm trying to modify my routine a little bit. So that's my challenge for you today. So a couple more comments and questions. We will wrap up. We're going to talk a lot more about this concept of a knowledge economy, becoming your own consultant. I really would love to know what you're going to do with it. And we're going to continue to evolve and improve as we go, as we have been doing, but more to come. Vin says, got here late today. Are the recordings available? Yes, they are. You can indeed watch them at any time. All of them are there. It's just, you can probably click my name there and see it, but it's Chris Guillebeau, or youtube.com/Chris Guillebeau. You can go through all of the recordings, and it's fun to have the people here live, but we also have a significant group of folks who are watching afterwards. So wherever you are, you're awesome. Very cool. I think somebody mentioned something earlier about getting a 404 page on the registry. So I think it was working for me earlier, but if you're still having problems, let us know. Nikki's here on the stream. He fixes everything. Renuka says, is a gig-based business considered to be a business, like a gig economy thing, like delivering food or something? I don't think it's considered to be a business. No, I think it's something people do to pay the bills, to pay the rent. And I understand in difficult times, we got to do whatever we need to do, but I don't think it's actually like building an asset for yourself, in the sense of like, it's not really going to bring in much money, first of all. There's a lot of competition for it. Somebody else is always setting the rules for that platform, and you're not actually going to be able to build, some kind of business. So no, I would not say it is a business. Nikki's decided to start waking up at 5 a.m. going on through, but Nikki, the question is, do you stay up all night, not just get up at 5 a.m.? Because he often does that. That's cool. So Laura says, would a one-page website be a good start for something like these consultant businesses? Yes. Absolutely, because it's simple. You don't have to have like a whole lot of other pages and what is the offer? What is it about? Who are you? Why are you qualified to provide this service? That's this question of authority, essentially. So, I mentioned something about quitting smoking earlier. You could say, if for somebody in this situation, it's like, I struggled for years trying to quit smoking, and I tried, all the different things people talk about, and they didn't work for me, but finally I was able to do it. Now I've been free of that for 3 years, and here's what I've learned. So that's like, I'm offering hope to somebody who is struggling. I am providing some proof of like, hey, this was me. It's relatable, but it's also authoritative. I think that's always a good mix of like being relatable, but also being authoritative. You don't want somebody who's only relatable. You want them to actually be able to show you something. Like you want to actually learn. If you're the one hiring the consultant or the coach, you want them to be able to teach you something. So relatability and accountability. Yes. Caitlin, let's do one or two more questions, and then we'll wrap up. You guys are awesome, by the way. This is so much fun. Hope you are enjoying it. So Caitlin says, great question. What is your response to the concern that the knowledge economy / consultant landscape is saturated? Okay. I think my response is the same as when people say like the publishing space is saturated. 10 years ago when I started writing books, I met my literary agent, who I'm still with today, wonderful guy. And I asked him that same question because I was like, isn't it saturated, David? And he's like, people have been writing books a long time. People are going to keep writing books a long time. Yes, there's a lot of competition. It's a competitive field, but, people are still consuming content. People want to learn. They want to read stories. They want to be entertained, et cetera. So the knowledge economy really is like, it's a catch-all phrase for something that is massive. And it really just refers to like, taking something that about, that's the knowledge part, and then monetizing it, that's the economy part. So if you were asking about a specific, field or topic or something, then maybe we could say, oh, that is too saturated or is not. But broadly speaking, this is like asking if commerce, or buying and selling is saturated. Is it saturated because so many people are buying and selling? Well, yes, but they've always been buying and selling, and they always will be. So no, I think there are actually more opportunities now than there ever have been. I think with the advancement of technology and globalization, and we're now able to connect with people based on shared interests. I think that's the huge thing about it is, I guess when did Star Wars come out? Was it the early 1970s? Like lots of people were into Star Wars then, but how did you connect with them? You would have to like go to a Star Wars movie, or maybe there would be a Star Wars meetup or something in your town, but you couldn't just like go online and find millions of other fans. And the same with all these topics that have been listed. A lot of them actually have come about because of globalization and access to information like cryptocurrency or blockchain or whatever else. So that's what I think about that. That is what I think about that. Okay, I see lots of other comments and questions, but we will need to save those for another day. I do always read them afterwards. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited. I really think, like I said, there are opportunities in this time, and my hope is for you that you'll be able to look back when all this is done and whenever it is and say, man, that was a weird thing. That was a hard thing. Like there was a lot of changes in my life and for other people, and obviously a lot of negative effects that came out of that, just to be very clear. But at the same time, like I was able to use that time to work on something that, I should have been doing a long time ago, but never started, or I just got the idea for it, or for whatever reason, I use this time as like a nudge and a motivation. And so that's my hope. And I'm trying to learn along with all of you, as you can see. But thank you so much. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day wherever you are.